To reconvene?
Got it.
I'd like to make a motion that we re-adjourn.
Reconvene.
Reconvene. Say
Second.
Let's re-adjourn.
Crawford.
Aye.
Mendocino.
Aye.
Nyora.
Aye.
Villanova.
Yes.
Yes. We're gonna re-engineer the agenda for this evening just so we can get some people. Mr. Latimer, I want to thank you so much for coming to talk tonight. We have the engineer from Crawford Park. Can we get him up? Do you mind getting him up, and then we'll get you up?
Oh, whatever you need.
Thanks so much, Mr. Latimer. Okay, I'm going to go straight to the engineering on the Crawford Park, who's been sitting patiently in the back. Thank you so much. Can you give us a report? Councilman Mendocino, this is been a big issue for you. We finally got a traffic recommendation.
All right, let's hear what it is. See if we like it.
I have quote for each one of you.
Thank you.
Oh, that's yours.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
I'll just bite it. Thank you. Oh, we did it.
Terrific. Okay, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Phil Cimino. I'm principal of PSC Engineering. We were commissioned by the board to take a look at the parking and safety in Crawford Park. And we've concluded our study, and we have our results in the report that I've handed out. I've put it in the report because there are a lot of numbers, and it may be easier to follow, but I would also like to present it on the board.
Please, I think it's the best, yep.
Yeah. So basically, Crawford Park is a fairly large park. It has one roadway that leads through the center going from east to west, about 2,500 feet long by about 550 or so feet wide. It has a lot of grass, has a ball field, has a soccer, lacrosse field, has a pavilion for picnicking. It has a mansion also for which could host various celebrations, wedding celebrations, and the like. The park has many different varied uses, a lot of which compete for the same parking spaces, as well as competing for the same center roadway. The fact that they compete leads to various instances of overcrowding, pedestrians darting between cars that are parked, cars parked in various chaotic ways. And in general, the park functions, but it could function better. And even though we feel that safety is of paramount importance, we think it could be improved also. Now, this is the park. North is straight up. The park goes from east to west. Lincoln Avenue on one side, North Ridge on the other side, ball field about central to the park. The roadway meanders through the central one-third portion, approximately, of the park from east going west. It's a one-way road, which is good because it's fairly narrow and wouldn't accommodate two-way traffic. So it goes from east to west, and it passes through all of the various areas that make up the park. Goes through the mansion first, then goes through the picnic pavilion, then goes through the ball field and the soccer field, then goes through various open areas, grassed areas. This is relatively flat in the central portion. In the easterly portion, it has a significant upgrade, and the roadway winds around so that the grade of the road isn't too steep. So the roadway winds around to maintain approximately 10% or so grade. Comes into the flatter area in the central portion where the mansion, the picnic pavilion, and the ball fields are. and then drops down as you head further west, and finally exits where the caretaker's house is on Lincoln. There are approximately a dozen or so parking spaces that are provided, that are paved and provided in the park, several of which are at the caretaker's house. There are about 8 or so right at the mansion, and there are about, I believe, 2 or 3 on the eastern portion as you enter the park. And those are the limits of the parking, the provided parking. The rest of the parking is accomplished by people just parking along the side of the road. And during the day and early evening when softball is in progress, or when, Saturdays and Sundays when soccer, or when during the day when you have soccer practice, cars are parked and lined up along both sides of the central roadway, limiting the amount of available space. They park off to the side, but they like to try to get as close as possible to the areas in which they're going to use, and they limit the amount of available space between the parked cars. This causes the problem I mentioned before of people darting between the cars. In addition, there's a problem for emergency vehicles, having to negotiate between parked cars on either side of them. There is no real organization to the parking other than people just know to park off to the side. When the mansion is in operation on weekends or in the evenings, the cars are parked in the grass areas adjacent to the mansion, one to the north, which we're calling the northeast parking lot or parking area, south of the road, which is the southeast. They also park in the area adjacent to the picnic area.
Thank you.
They park adjacent to the ball field in here. And the overflow parking is provided in this area here, which we call the central, north central area and south central areas. And the parking is done by, by eye, and the cars are parked as best as possible. Not as efficient as it could be, and also the same condition holds true with emergency vehicles and people walking between cars. So we took a look first to determine what are the parking needs. How many parking spaces do we need? And if you turn to Table 1,
How do you determine these parking needs?
It wasn't all that difficult, but there were some assumptions made.
Okay, because for the mansion, you say you only need 50 spaces. What's the capacity of the mansion, 150?
Well, that's 100 people.
100?
Yeah.
Okay, so you figured two per car.
Well, yeah, we used a manual, Institute of Transportation Engineers, parking manual.
Excuse me, Phil, I apologize for today. This is a fairly involved presentation, fairly involved discussion, which I'd like to give due time. Would you mind terribly, because State Assemblyman Latimer has come here from Albany, and this is going to be more involved. Would you mind waiting 5-10 minutes while we just take up a different agenda item?
Not at all.
Because I'd like to get into depth on this, and I'm very conscious of the fact that Assemblyman Latimer's come all the way from Albany.
Absolutely.
To be with us today. So if he just, you have to go back. So excuse me for 1 second, Phil. Sorry, Mr. Latimer, would you come up, please? Thanks so much. We didn't anticipate the executive session, and I know you come all the way from Albany to talk with us today, so thank you so much.
Thank you, Bishop. Thanks very much. I know you have a long agenda, so I'll be very quick.
Great.
I wanted to stop down at your request to give you a quick update on where we are with the proposals that the town board wants to advance on revaluation to change the regulations. So I have copies for each of you to look at.
Thank you so much.
Hopefully there's a copy for you. The material that I've given to the town board is available online if anyone is interested in it. I'll give you the website, and you can jot it down as well so you can look at it at home on your computer. It's available at www.assembly.state.ny.us. And when you get to, that's the Assembly website. There's a companion Senate website. You can look it up on that side.